So in today's video, we're going to take a look at a life lesson. So Adam came to visit me because he was having difficulty with standing up in his golf swing. He knew that he was standing up and using his hands too much, but he didn't know how to fix it. And I'm going to show you the 3 steps that we did to get rid of this problem. Now, the first thing we had to do was resolve the takeaway. So Adam had this tendency to take the club behind him like so. Now the problem when you have this type of motion is what will happen is the club shaft will start getting what's known as too laid off in the backswing. So a great reference point would be the club shaft should point down towards your target line. This would mean it's in the correct position. If it gets too laid off, you're going to have a problem, because what's going to happen is the club's either going to swing too much out away from the ball in the downswing, or you're going to have to start pulling down on the club as you initiate the downswing. So you're going to have a real dilemma on your hands where you're either going to get the club shaft too steep, or you're going to end up swinging in the wrong direction and getting all sorts of mishits. So that was the first thing we did, and quite simply put, we just worked on a much straighter backswing. We just worked on the feeling of getting the club head travelling in a much straighter line, getting more of the feeling in the backswing of lifting his arms up, and that quite quickly remedied the problem of the takeaway. Now, the next thing we had to do was his body rotation. Okay, so what I mean by this is, again, if you're a golfer who is standing up, you need to learn how to rotate in a different angle. Now, an easy way for you guys to do this is just place down a couple of alignment sticks on the floor, okay, and then just cross them over so you end up with a cross. And if you like, you get 4 boxes. You get a box in the top left, top right, bottom left, and bottom right. And what we had to do is I spent some time with Adam working on this feeling of, as we started the downswing, I really wanted him to get his feeling that his chest and his belt buckle, as soon as he started the downswing, was pointing down into the bottom left box. So if I now face this direction for a moment so you guys can see a little bit more clearly, what Adam would do, and again most amateur golfers tend to, is when you sort of stand up, it's almost like your trail hip and shoulder move into the top right box. And this makes you want to pull down on the club. So what we tried to do is get the feeling of the lower body and the chest pointing more down to the bottom left box. And once he started doing this, then he started to understand what it really felt like to rotate coming in towards the downswing position. Now, what we also had to do is we just had to understand that when we're going to start rotating in this manner, so when we're rotating in towards this bottom left box, we have to also make sure that we don't pull down on the club like so, and we get the feeling that the handle of the club is moving a little bit more into the top left corner box like so. Okay, so then all of a sudden you've got a downswing where it looks more this way as opposed to this way. Okay, and we spent a little bit of time doing that. So we'd managed to rectify the backswing. We'd managed to understand and get a strong feeling for what the start of the downswing should feel like. The last little piece of the puzzle was understanding how to rotate through the golf ball. Okay, I wanted Adam to feel quite liberated in terms of he could pivot through the ball. And this is, again, something that most golfers overlook. So all we did is we just worked on the feeling of when we come to hitting the golf ball, I wanted him to get the feeling of his lead hip or his left pocket moving back away from the target, but ensuring that the upper part of his leg and his belt buckle continue to turn towards the target. And what that did is that gave him the ability to continue to rotate through the ball, which in turn gives him the ability to keep the club again moving through on plane. So if you want to stop standing up, there's a few things that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to obviously learn how to rotate, follow this little step-by-step system. If you ever need any help, you know where I am. Work for Adam, it'll work for you guys as well. Do one thing at a time, break it down, practice one thing incrementally, and then what you'll find is that you'll become more coordinated at putting all of these things together. And that's how you're going to stop standing up and learn how to stay in posture. See you soon.